Today, we're looking at some eye-opening conspiracies that will make you question reality. And I'll be serving you an unbiased burger of information on these theories from all different types of angles. From Bill Gates releasing genetically modified mosquitoes into the public to make us sick, to the Kardashians having a spiritual advantage over others, we're diving headfirst into this pool of information, so let's get started. Now, it's not a conspiracy video if 9/11 isn't mentioned, but I'm not here to talk to you about how jet fuel doesn't melt metal, or that it was an inside job, or even that it was a controlled demolition. I'm here to talk about the idea that it was known that the towers would be hit for a while, and that shows and cartoons were telling us about it subtly for a long time. Here are some clips showing what I mean.
They've been warning you since 1976.
The Legion of Doom is about to begin its reign of terror.
Oh, you're stupid.
Well, you're stupider.
No, you're...
Now, I'll start this by saying, of course shows with superheroes will depict an important building being destroyed, such as the Twin Towers. Just like when it's portrayed in shows or movies that the Eiffel Tower gets destroyed. Or even the Statue of Liberty is under sand. Does that mean the Eiffel Tower is going to be hit and they're warning us about it? No. The media is going to depict important monuments being destroyed. That could also be applied to the Pentagon getting hit in this clip right here.
It's time. We will now strike at the heart of American defense and destroy the Pentagon.
But specifically showing a plane going into the Pentagon is a bit oddly specific. Now, to argue against the fact that it's an important monument, I saw some people make the claim online that the Empire State Building is a monument too, and it isn't shown to get destroyed as much as the Twin Towers were, which is a valid point to bring up. What do you think though? Was the media trying to tell us subliminally that 9/11 was going to happen before it happened, or is it just coincidence? Let me know in the comments below. Speaking of planes, let's get into chemtrails. So, if you don't know what chemtrails are, let me give you a brief explanation. If you've ever seen planes leave behind a cloud of white behind them and it lingers for a while, people believe that to be chemicals that the government is putting into the sky for any of these following reasons. Profit, so making people sick to benefit drug companies. Population control, weapons testing, and controlling the behaviors of people. Now that you've heard what chemtrails are and the possible motives for doing this, here's a clip of Prince and his first-hand experience with something similar.
Phenomena of chemtrails. When I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time, and so, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing and you didn't know why.
Now, it's odd that even as a kid, Prince noticed that after the streaks were left behind, people began to act strangely in his neighborhood. Was it just coincidence for Prince, or was there something deeper at hand? Because keep in mind, Prince grew up in a suburban area. That doesn't mean people are completely unlikely to act strangely, but it is less likely than a rough, rundown neighborhood. Now, one explanation from people who don't believe in chemtrails point to the contrails being the culprit. And if you don't know, contrails are trails of clouds left behind from the water vapor and fine soot particles that come from burning jet fuel that then freeze into ice crystals. So clearly, like this guy states,
it's not like they could just turn it off or... Okay, I don't know what that was about.
Interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just like the last theory about chemicals being put in our air, this theory has to deal with our air being contaminated, but this time with mosquitoes that have diseases. And who else would be to blame for this conspiracy that people are talking about? None other than Bill Gates. Bill Gates has continuously been shown to be anti-people, just like most rich people, and care too much about profit. So Billy Boy Gates has been blamed for funding a biotech firm called Oxitec, and they recently released mosquitoes into the US, Florida Keys to be specific. Now, the mosquitoes that Oxitec released were a specific species of mosquito that can't transmit malaria. And the mosquitoes they released are males only, which don't bite humans, if you didn't know. Only the females do because they need protein from our blood for their eggs. But conveniently after these mosquitoes have been released, the US locally acquired malaria infections for the first time in 2 decades in both Florida and in Texas. If you try to do research on these topics, articles are quick to specifically state the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation doesn't finance any modified mosquito release projects in the US. Now, the way this is phrased makes it sound like Bill Gates never funded the company in the first place. In the same article, it states how the money wasn't specifically for the US mosquitoes being released. But honestly, that's a nothing burger since the money still went to the company and that's what they do. They release mosquitoes to control the mosquito population and try to control the diseases they spread and try to reduce the spread. Now, on the Gates Foundation, it even states that they funded Oxitec, which we know, but notice here, in the region sections it says Africa and America. That clearly contradicts what the article said about the funding and how Bill Gates' money supposedly doesn't go to their US mosquito spread. So the theory is that Bill Gates is helping create a problem by funding a company that releases mosquitoes to the public that make us sick to then sell us the solution, since he funds the efforts for a malaria vaccine as well. What do you think about this though? Does this theory hold its own, or is it a dud? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now that we already talked about a common conspiracy in this video, why don't we hit another? And this one I would personally like answered by Neil deGrasse Tyson, just because I believe he would have the most understandable answer. So, the moon landing is already full of theorists saying how fake it was and it was shot on a set. We won't talk about that specifically, but what we will talk about is this clip right here.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
So, we managed to get to the moon at a point when technology was a lot worse than it is today, and now we can't go? What sense does that make? Also, this guy states how they destroyed that technology and it's a pain to build back up. A few questions immediately come to mind. Why would you destroy that technology? That is technology from a historical moment in human history, and for some reason we decide,
yeah, that's not important enough to keep.
Now, some might answer that with, well, he probably meant it was destroyed when they left Earth and when they got back to Earth from the moon. Okay, well that brings us to the next question. Why is it that big of a pain to build again? According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, there are
millions of pages of engineering diagrams for the Saturn V rocket.
So that means there's a guide on how to build what you need to get back. And if the diagrams were what was destroyed, I would ask again, why? Also, how is it that the smartest people at NASA aren't able to travel back to the moon now when we've made leaps and bounds in technology as a whole? And somehow the president could use a phone with an old school coiled cable to talk to someone on the moon in real time with no delay. Or maybe there was, I don't know. I get a delay with an iPhone talking to someone a few miles away from me, but a phone on the Earth and communication devices on the moon have 0 delay?
Hey, it's me from the future. So I was wrong about the 0 delays, so just disregard that.
I don't care if I look dumb asking these things, I want to understand them. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please help this reach Neil deGrasse Tyson. Now, this theory is a claim I saw online and haven't seen much else on. So the claim goes that an ancestor of the Kardashians sold her soul to 4 witches to make it so the women in her bloodline would always find and have fame, success, and beauty, while the men would have some type of shunning or fall from grace. Kylie has been on record stating something similar in this clip.
Every male figure that comes and dates a Kardashian, their life kind of just goes downhill after.
But who's to say that she didn't mean it figuratively and was just trying to say that dating a Kardashian is the best thing that a man can do. Regardless, it looks bad. While we've all seen the men go down a not so savory path after involving themselves with the Kardashians, that isn't proof of the curse being real. Who's to say it was the Kardashians specifically that caused this, or just something that would have happened anyways? Also, there isn't anything besides word of mouth that their ancestors sold her soul back in the 1800s to 4 Armenian witches. It could just easily be coincidence, and the ladies are taking advantage of the Kardashian curse and anything necessary to be relevant. What are your thoughts on this theory? I know it wasn't that deep, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. That lets me know you want to see more of this type of content. Also, just a disclaimer, I make these conspiracy videos for fun and because it did quite well the first time I made one. These theories are not any of my core beliefs, and I enjoy researching these kinds of things. This channel isn't only going to include conspiracies, but I will try to continue to make at least one every month. I still want to upload other things on this channel. Thank you. Have a good one.